Our next baton goes to a local reporter who insisted on accountability when he took on a powerful Catholic diocese. The bishop of that diocese, Richard Malone, had arrived in Buffalo, theoretically, to clean up a long-standing pattern of church sexual abuse. But WKBW reporter Charles Specht discovered that instead, Malone was in fact part of the problem. Among other things, Specht's series of reports revealed that Bishop Malone returned an accused child abuser to his ministry and recommended that he work with children, allowed another accused priest to remain at his parish, and hid an internal list of more than 100 abusers from the public. WKBW's reporting got results. In December, Malone resigned. In this clip, you'll hear about one courageous whistleblower, Siobhan O'Connor, the woman who trusted Specht to get the story right.
Publicly, Bishop Malone said he wanted victims to come forward, but a hotline created by the diocese rang to an empty office in Cheektowaga, manned remotely by a part-time employee. All calls for the first 3 weeks went directly to voicemail. After waiting weeks for a return call, O'Connor says victims began showing up at the chancery to tell their stories. O'Connor listened to one man's story in a supply closet because the diocese had set aside no space to hear these victims.
And he told me that his wife had died a few years ago and he hadn't even told her, and then he shared what he had endured, and I was just, I was really overcome in that moment. Because you just can see how raw that pain is.
But it was Malone's handling of 2 accused priests that finally convinced her it was time to quit her job. She wrote in emails to the bishop that she was becoming morally allergic to that job. That's when I approached O'Connor, and we had the first of many secret meetings in this abandoned parking lot. She began to reveal a trove of secret documents that implicated Bishop Malone in the mishandling of clergy sexual abuse allegations.
And I remember thinking that I would trust you with this information, that you would not treat it in a salacious manner. I could tell you had great compassion for the victims, and that you also had respect for our church.
Exposing the bishop's actions was not a decision O'Connor came to easily.
I devoted my life to working for him. I knew him very well. He had invited me into his home. I had traveled with him. And yet I realized that sometimes you have to have a loyalty to something greater, and an allegiance to the common good versus someone's personal good. And especially when I thought about the survivors, I thought I would be betraying them if I didn't do something.
Here to accept the baton for Fall from Grace is investigative reporter Charlie Specht.
So on behalf of Jeff Wick and I, we just want to thank the DuPont Committee and Columbia for this tremendous honor. We are humbled, and I never thought I would be in this room. The people that I've met tonight are just amazing. I'd like to thank the brave survivors who came forward to talk about this abuse. Michael Whalen, Matt Golden, Stephanie McIntyre, Kevin Kishelniak, they stood up and had their stories heard, and for the first time, people of Buffalo believed. I'd like to thank our station for supporting us in this work. Going toe-to-toe with the most powerful institution on earth was not easy, and I would like to thank all my bosses for standing by us and never flinching. I'd like to thank my parents for always encouraging me to question authority, my 2 brothers for always having my back, but most of all, my wife, who, with our 3 children at home, many long nights through this story. And I'd like to thank my children, Charlie, Maeve, and Tessa. A lot of times they were wondering, they would go to Catholic school in the morning and wonder, why is Daddy going after the bishop? And I just, someday I hope that you can, when you watch this, that you can know that I did this and we did this so that you could be safe when you went into that church. More than anything, this story would have been just another abuse story if not for two people. And the two people are two whistleblowers. Siobhan O'Connor and Father Richard Biernat are in the room with us tonight. And thank you. Please stand up. Siobhan and Father Richard have both suffered greatly. They both lost their jobs. In Father Richard's case, he's still being punished for what he did, but he would do it all over again. And I don't think of them as traitors, as they've been called. I think of them as heroes. So I just want to thank them and thank everyone here tonight. It's a great honor.